we were never on the verge to giving up. But it was a hard process. It took a long time, a lot of work, thousands of hours, I'm sure, in composing and recording. But now I guess it's all worth it.
Grasping for light in this parallel world. Well, I feel that I belong here. The stolen heart, the death of humanity, hidden in ink on a page filled with love. For your own damn misery. And it makes me how grateful do I feel when I blow out the candle here on the shores of melancholia. Winter is draining the life out of summer and hope turn asunder. The tale of the dead soldier's bones makes a beautiful ending. Above us embrace one final breath under scarlet clouds. Gather round, come witness the death of a dream and the birth of the upper class. As the vultures gather, Ophelia, too human, too soft for this life, as your innocence fell from the sky. In my own backyard. And it makes me wonder, how grateful did you feel when you blew out the candle here on the shores of melancholia? Winter is draining the life out of summer and hope turn asunder. Tale of the dead soldier's bones makes a beautiful ending. Above us embrace one final breath under scarlet clouds.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hello, my name is Kjetil Nordhus. I'm the singer of Carnation.
Kjetil, welcome back. We spoke not that long ago. We spoke about, I believe, 6 months ago. You had released the first part of a trilogy, which we discussed during our last conversation. We also had a long discussion about the history of the band as well as the way you guys write songs.
Mm.
Did you guys do anything in terms of touring, special shows, festival appearances, stuff like that since our last conversation?
Yeah, we kind of did an album release show at the Prog Power Festival in Atlanta, US, 2 days before actually the album was released in September last year. There we performed the entire album from all the songs, which was a great experience. It's always, that album hadn't even been released, so it was quite like an exclusive show for the ones who were there. But it was a great experience, and they seemed to be into our new songs a lot, which was really nice. And we haven't done too much live, to be honest. We do have a big show in Kristiansand, Norway in September this year, where we're going to perform all the 3 albums in one evening with all the guest artists and everything. So we're kind of saving ourselves a little bit to that, but we did do the Midwinter Prog Festival in Utrecht in Holland in January, I think it was, or maybe February. And we are going to do some festivals and shows throughout the year, but it's not like a hugely active year for us live. I think 2027 will be maybe more of we're going to do even more live then, but we are going to play in Finland on a new festival there in the summer. We are going to go to Bucharest and to Barcelona and to the Fekete Sai festival in Hungary. So yeah, it's an active year when you think that we are also releasing 2 new albums.
Right. And as you mentioned the last time we spoke, the albums aren't just fully written, but you guys finished recording them as well.
Yeah.
And I think during our last conversation, this most recent album was being mixed and mastered. And can I assume that the third part is also finished up in terms of the mastering?
Yeah, we kind of recently finished it, like maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that. So while preparing to release album number 2, we were also in the mixing and mastering process of part 3. So it's a bit confusing, of course, but I think we have it. We're all good now, and everything's ready for the rest of the release period. Yeah.
So we spoke about why you guys had such an ambitious plan and how long you've been working on these 3 releases, these 3 linked albums.
Mm.
But for any of my listeners who may not have heard that conversation, would you mind just recapping what the plan was for these 3 albums and why it was so important for you guys to have such an ambitious project?
The idea of doing a trilogy, it's just kind of something that turned up in our heads in the early 2000s after releasing Light of Day, Day of Darkness, which was a 1-hour, 1-track song, which kind of gave us the international breakthrough, I would say. And how on earth do you continue after a 1-hour-long song? And we were discussing lots of different stuff, and for example, to do a double album or even a trilogy then. We went in another direction then and did shorter songs. We went in a more like a prog rock direction, I would say. And we used the early 2000s on experimenting with, kind of little different genres and stuff. And then in 2006, we quit, actually. That was the plan, at least. But we came back in 2016 doing the 15th anniversary Light of Day, Day of Darkness shows in Europe and the US. And the idea after that was to figure out if we wanted to continue as a band and if we wanted to make new music. And it was a hugely inspiring year, 2016, when we came back and saw how much the band actually means for many people around the world. I don't think we were. I think we kind of have forgotten about that aspect of being in a band together. So it inspired us to decide to continue as a band, to make new music, and then the trilogy idea resurfaced in our minds. And I talked to Stein Roger. Me and him are the main composers in the band nowadays. And asked him, do you think we have it in us to write and record and produce a trilogy now? And we decided to go for it. We contacted System Mist and told them about our plans and signed a 5-album deal, which included also the 2020 release, which we kind of had to buy ourselves some time to finish the trilogy. So we released Leaves of Yesteryear, an album in 2020, and re-released an album called Acoustic Verses in 2022. Everything to kind of give us time to, for the 5 or 6 years it actually took to compose the album, or 7 years it was almost. And also, of course, we used the majority of 2024 in the studio to record everything. And I don't know if we knew the task ahead. I don't know if we would have done it if we knew how much work it would take. But it was a good process. We were never on the verge to giving up. But it was a hard process. It took a long time, a lot of work, thousands of hours, I'm sure, in composing and recording. But now I guess it's all worth it.
We discussed this before. I guess the weight or the shadow of Light of Day, Day of Darkness, and the way, that was the way a lot of people were introduced to Green Carnation. I'm curious how you feel about the album now.
Light of Day, Day of Darkness.
Yeah.
That was my first album as a singer ever. Short, he had band members on the previous album and he let them all go. And he collected a new gang for Light of Day, Day of Darkness with people he knew from before, but also some people he didn't really know from before that he asked into the band from hearing from other people that maybe he could be a singer, for example. That was the case with me. I don't think I've ever met Short before going into the studio to do Light of Day, Day of Darkness. And again, I don't think if I knew the level of ambitions on that album, I don't think I would have accepted because, again, it was my first album as a singer. I had no idea what I went into, but I'm very happy I did, of course. And that was also a long process with, the guitarist being in the studio for a week, and then we had to maybe even compose a little bit more because the composition lacked something. But I do understand. I like the album a lot, of course. I don't listen to it regularly anymore, of course, but it's a very strong piece of art, I think. It's a very unique piece of art, and also I do understand why so many people connect to that album, because it's about something that is somehow relatable for many people. The aspect of sorrow, for example, and shame over being happy for something because of something else, and yeah, I don't think we would have been here today if it wasn't for Light of Day, Day of Darkness, because that opened up a lot of doors for us, which have stayed open luckily since then. So yeah, it's an album that we are all very proud of, and to see it even now, just a few weeks ago, Loudwire listed us on top of their list on progressive doom albums ever in the history, which is like, oh God, it's 25 years ago, but still people remember it. So there must be something with it. Yeah.
us all when we are on their ground. Oh, don't you worry, I'll play their hide and seek. I'll make myself look weak if that is what it takes. I know the stitches won't last. Maybe I'm stuck in the past. Somehow I drown myself. Somehow I drown myself. I seek word from above. I seek word from below. It's me, my enemy. It's me, my enemy. Now I try to forget all the things I regret. This is me, my enemy. It's me, my enemy. I hear the music, the laughter, the self-esteem. Sounds like a living dream without the joyful noise. Alive, alive. Darkness got the best of me. I'm not living, I'm just alive. I'm not living, I'm just alive.
So at the time of our conversation, we're about a week away from A Dark Poem Part 2, Sanguis, being released through Season of Mist.
Yeah.
With this installment, how would you compare the music to the previous album, Part 1?
Yeah. I can't remember if we discussed this the last time, but after having, made all the demos, pre-productions, we gathered them in one pool and we tried to place them to kind of compose three different albums out of the songs, to try and see how the songs would fit together. And also we wanted to have three albums that could live their own lives, but also, of course, be connected to the other ones. So on the first album, it's kind of all guns blazing from the start. It's a lot of energy, lots of information in all the songs, high tempo, some extreme songs, well, at least one. And we look out from ourselves onto the world, I think, well, not 100%, but on at least on the second album, we take a look inside ourselves. And Stein Roger, who's written the lyrics, he's extremely personal in some of the songs, and there is a lot of songs about the worries in his life, about grief, sadness, and like a general kind of feeling of not being enough for the ones around you. So also the music on the second, it reflects the lyrics as well. So we do have two fairly quiet songs already. On song number 2 is a very quiet, stripped down song that in the studio we had like several instruments on that was actually taken away because we wanted the lyrics to be the main focus on that one, because that's an important piece of lyric for Stein Roger, who's also in the end he did the lead vocals on that song. I did it first, and we didn't think it was 100% perfect like it was. We didn't know what it was, so we took away instrument after instrument after instrument. We hardly had any instruments left, and it helped, but it was still something lacking. And we said, maybe you should try and sing it, Stein, because it's your lyric to your friend, and he did. I think it's actually the first take who's on the album, and it just clicked. So we dare to kind of show a different side of us on album number 2, a stripped down version where the voice and the lyrics come, even more in the focus than on the first album, I think. And of course, we do have heavy songs on the second one as well. But it was important for us to make an album that could, again, stand alone. I think it can. I think you can perfectly fine listen through album number 2 and don't kind of feel that something's lacking. I think you could do that with album 1 as well. But if you try and listen to album 1 first and then straight on to part 2, I think that makes a lot of sense. And the quiet song, which would be song number 8 out of 12, it's a perfect time to calm down after the huge song, which is the opening track. So it's been, I could have probably talked about this for hours, but that's the reason why it does sound a bit different. I still think the compositions are very strong on the second album, and the feedback until now has been that people actually like the second album even better than the first one, which is amazing for us, because the feedback on part 1 was almost a bit, overwhelming, I think.
I was talking about the album with someone recently, and to me, there's almost like a doom metal feeling to it. Like it's very like down tempo, and maybe not necessarily morose, but solemn.
Yeah.
Like there's something very like serious and thoughtful about it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you absolutely. And we wanted to kind of put. It's a varied album. We have different kind of moods on it, but I do agree on the general mood being more on the doomy side and on the, I wouldn't say depressive side, but on the melancholic, even more melancholic than the album with Melancholia in the name. I think you're right. Yeah.
We spoke about some of the lyrical themes on the first part, where a lot of it was about the chaos of the modern world and trying to get away from it and unplug from it. I'm curious, you spoke about how like some of these themes are quite personal for Stein. Do you want to say anything about what inspired the lyrics this time around?
Yeah, the first song, Sanguis, is basically about his relationship to his father. And it took him almost 50 years, he's 50 years old now, to understand why things were like they were when he grew up with his father. And that's, I think that goes through all the three albums. It's kind of a mature understanding on why things are like they are, something you didn't have the chance to understand when you were a kid. So you were only the feeling the bad sides of everything, you know. Luckily, Stein Roger and his father found kind of back to each other quite recently, but sadly, his father died last summer, a very sudden. But I think that Stein is like extremely happy that he managed to talk to his father about his version of his childhood, which was he had a he felt he had a hard childhood and he felt that he wasn't taken care of like he should be. Now he's a parent himself and he has kids and kind of you kind of mature, of course, in your life when stuff like that happen to you, that you get your own kids and you remember how it was when you were a kid and you think that like I will most definitely not do like this and I will rather do like that and stuff like that. And it's just it is it is a harsh piece of lyrics. It's a hard piece of lyrics, but it still has the understanding in it, which I think is maybe the strongest thing with the Sanguis, the lyrics from Sanguis, the song, is that it's a mature understanding and a kind of an acceptance because Stein Roger accepted that his father was like he was because he grew up even worse than Stein Roger, you know. And there's some life wisdom in that, I think. There's also a song, number two, Loneliness Untold, Loneliness Unfold, which is to a friend of us. He's a very close friend with several people in the band actually, but an amazing guy who gave up life maybe 10 years ago. He doesn't even leave his house anymore. And that's kind of that Loneliness Untold, Loneliness Unfold is maybe Sten Roger's way of trying to understand or accept the situation that one of his best friends has given up life, kind of. So yeah, it's deep and kind of worrying and sad stuff, some of it, but I think there is throughout the album also a glimpse of hope here and there. So it's not like an album that makes you want to go and jump off a cliff or something, I hope.
We discussed the recording of the album the last time. I believe your keyboardist was the main engineer for this album. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when we started recording the album, we knew that we wanted to use him as the main engineer. It is his studio, and we've worked with him previously many times. And then during the process, it all kind of felt natural for us because we needed a new keyboard player live. So, and he played the keyboards on the album. So when we asked him to join us live, of course, he wanted to do that. So he kind of became a member of the band, at least for the period where we're gonna play a Dark Poem songs. So yeah, it's great to have him back. He was also in the band in 2016 when we did the Light of Day, Day of Darkness comeback shows, and he was playing keys in the band in the early years, early 2000s. So it's great to have him back, and we couldn't find a more natural person to ask for doing keys on this in this period than Endre Kirkesola. So yeah, he ended up in the band actually. Yeah.
So I just need to clarify something.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, the albums are being released in these 6-month intervals,
Yeah.
and being mixed and mastered separately. But when you guys were doing the recording, did you record the songs all together, or did you take breaks between recording sessions?
No, we kind of recorded every second week from April 24 until December 24. And that's just because of practical reasons. Of course, there was a summer in there and some summer holiday, but we worked, after our day jobs, so in the evenings and sometimes weekends, every second week for 7 or 8 months, yeah. And we didn't have any we didn't know for sure which songs were going to be on which album, or we didn't care about, we just had a list of songs and we recorded them. And we did have, as I told, an idea on which songs would end up here and there. We did some adjustments actually after they were finished in the studio as well, when we heard that maybe this song would suit better on album 3 instead of 2, so we can, mix, change places on 2 songs, for example. But yeah, it wasn't like we recorded the songs for album 1 and then had a break and recorded it for album 2 and then for album 3. It wasn't like that. There was just one song on album 3, which is we can hopefully talk about in a few months' time, that we needed to record somewhere else because of something that I'm going to tell you next time we talk.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Sound-wise, in terms of the finished production, between Endre, is that how to pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Between Endre and Lawrence, who mastered the album,
yeah.
What did you want the finished production to be? What did you want in terms of a sound? What did you want them to bring to the finished product?
Yeah, we know that Endre Kjetil is a wizard. He's a total nerd when it comes to sound. And we know that when he's in a project that he's so enthusiastic about, like he was on this trilogy, we know that we're gonna not only get good sound because he's a good and great engineer, we're gonna get something more. And we have been working with different people mastering our albums, but we did have a chat about that, and we wanted to try something, and we asked Endre if he knew about somebody who could give that extra lift to his mixes, no matter how good they were, And Endre is friends with some of the guys in and around Meshuggah, and they were in awe of Lawrence's work. And Endre thought that this is the guy who can lift the last few percentages, so it's like the best sound we could ever hope for. And luckily, that was the right guess, because he's giving his late but extremely important lift to all the songs and to the sound, Lawrence. And yeah, it's the first time we worked with him, and I hope if we're going to do something more in the future, it's not the last time we're going to work with him as well.
Do you feel like the production is a little bit of a throwback to some classic prog records? Like, it's very open sounding. Modern metal albums tend to be very, very compressed and very kind of clipped. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this feels like it almost has like an older feeling to it.
Yeah, we agreed, everybody, on that we don't want that compressed sound. It's a problem because there's a lot of information in our songs. There's a lot of instruments and sounds that has to fit together. But that's also where Endre comes in, and he uses his both theoretic head and his ears on finding a place for everything, which I think he's done in an amazing way. And that opens up for us not having to compress too much. But it's a lot of work in the mix, and not everybody could do that, I think. So it was an active choice, that we wanted that kind of sound, a clear and good sound, which I think we've kind of always had. Yeah, we've always kind of wanted that kind of sound, but also Endre he's the reason why it sounds like that. And I'm glad, again, that he's the one who's mixed the albums, yeah.
So, as you mentioned, you have some live dates planned, including a full set of all three parts,
Mhm.
with all the guest musicians as well.
Mhm.
This sounds like a very challenging endeavor to get
Mhm.
everyone
Oh,
involved
oh yeah.
and to play the entire thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day after, or maybe even the hours after that show, if everything went well, because there's so many things that kind of. And okay, I can say a little bit about that because we've already announced that there is going to be a full symphony orchestra on stage as well, and an opera choir. Yeah, and okay, I haven't said exactly what a symphony orchestra is going to do, but you can hear that there's no symphony orchestra on the first two albums, so that says something about what's going to be on the third album without telling you everything. But yeah, on top of, ourselves having to rehearse on a really, really high level all the new songs, we have to incorporate the symphony orchestra in this. There are going to be 55 musicians on that same stage and around 55 singers as well, I think. So yeah, it's a huge project, and we are currently planning how on earth are we gonna do this for the audience to have like the greatest experience they could have, There's obviously gonna have to be some changeovers on stage because we cannot have 120 at least people on stage at the entire concert, of course. Yeah, so there's a lot of practical stuff around it still, but it's sold. We've sold soon 1,000 tickets in our hometown to 20 different countries now, which is extremely motivating, of course. And yeah, it's going to be one of the biggest nights in our lives, I'm sure. And we just cross our fingers. We have to put in a lot of work for it to be as good as it can, but we're ready for that, I think.
I mean, you mentioned that your deal with Season of Mist was for 5 albums, but are
Hmm.
there any plans to record this live event, maybe a concert film or something like that?
Yeah, we have been discussing that with Season of Mist, and we've been discussing it within the band. And I'm not sure if we're going to do that, actually. It's too early, but we have to figure out how on earth we're going to be able to play the concert first. And then if we manage to find out, I think we can always figure out how to film it and record the audio. But the music film format isn't easy to. It's going to cost us a lot of money to produce like a Blu-ray or whatever, like a DVD, which my generation would call it, and we don't have the money to lose money on it. So it's a hard one. Of course, we personally we really want to do it to save it as memories, that you can take back up after a few years. But if we can figure out how to be able to do that economically, we might do it. Yeah, but we haven't really figured that out yet. So that's the honest answer.
Well, I hope at least a live album gets recorded. I think it'd be great to document this in some way.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Hmm.
Well, besides this event, are there any other plans for tours or festival appearances, maybe during the summer?
Yeah, we haven't booked. I think I mentioned most of the shows for 2026. I think the album release in September 25 was a little bit too late, actually, for Summer Festivals 26, because they are normally booked 1 year before in advance. So I do think that our big summer festival year hopefully would be 2027, which sounds like a long time, but we're already soon in April in 26, so time flies. But we're probably not we're not a band that can or want to go on extensive touring. Like we don't want to. We're not able to do like the five week European or US tours because we do have a life outside of music as well, and we're not a band like we're 50 years old now, and there's many reasons why. Also, economically, it's very hard. It's everything was so much easier when you were in the early 20s when it came to stuff like that. But we are an ambitious band when it comes to playing live as well, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we want to play as many gigs as possible, but the ones we do, we know that we want to do as good as possible and to create memories for the ones who are there that they can take with them in their lives. They're high ambitions for live playing as well. But I do think again that 2027 will probably be the year that we do a little bit more touring and a few more summer festivals. Hopefully in 3 or maybe even 4 continents.
So by the time people hear this episode, The Dark Poem Part 2, Sanguis, will be out through Season of Mist. Kjetil, please tell everyone listening to this how they can order the new album. What's the best way to get it?
Yeah, of course, through the label is a safe and good place to find through Season of Mist. We also sell exclusive merchandise, including albums that are signed through our big cartel, like Green Carnation Big Cartel. We pack all the stuff ourselves and send it to all the corners of the world. And I know that people into music like Green Carnation like to support the band directly. So that's also something that we are really happy that people want to do that. It means a lot for us. So we have our own designs, t-shirts and stuff like that, and also signed copies of all our music that's released up until now. So yeah, our shop is kind of booming a little bit, which is nice for us to be able to get back some of the money we invested in buying the merchandise, even though we're not playing all the time. So yeah, people are really like welcome into our big cartel shop. Yeah.
So the last time we spoke, I believe there were 3 vinyl versions for part 1.
Yeah.
And I think for part 2, there's as many as 6. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we are selling 3 different ones. I think maybe Season of Mist are also selling 3 different ones. So yeah, you might be right. I haven't been thinking about that actually, because I've only kind of focused most on our own web shop, and we do have 3. Yeah. So I think you're right. That's a lot.
Well, is there anything else you want to say about the vinyl versions?
No, I think it's like, we're 50 years old, and just to be able to release music on vinyl is like a really cool thing for us still. And within this year, I think the one album from 2003 or 4, The Quiet Offspring, is the only one we haven't released on vinyl yet, actually. So that's going to be released probably during this year as well. So then we'll have all our music on vinyl. And if you told me this in the time when the CD came in the 90s, I wouldn't believed you, but it's a great feeling. It's a part of the furniture back home, and yeah, I know that we have many fans and followers on our age, so I think they feel a little bit of the same. So it's great stuff.
That's great. And if people want to follow the band online and get updates and details on the upcoming shows,
we're not on TikTok or anything. We're on Facebook, Green Carnation Norway, and we're on Instagram, Green Carnation. So there is also, we figured out after the internet came that Green Carnation is also a symbol for homosexuality. So it shouldn't be mixed with the gay club in London, because that's a gay club actually called Green Carnation as well. Which we have some strange tags sometimes for the band that's probably supposed to be the gay club in London, and probably vice versa as well. So yeah, it's a funny thing. But so you'll see quite soon if you go to our Facebook if it's the right one or the wrong one.
I mean, the doom metal band St. Vitus played the metal club St. Vitus.
Yeah.
So maybe Green Carnation, the band, can play Green Carnation, the venue.
Oh, yeah, that would be something. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great.
Kjetil, it was really nice catching up with you, and I look forward to speaking with you again in 6 months when the last installment comes out.
Brilliant.
Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you want listeners to know about this latest release, or anything else?
It's an album that we're extremely proud of, like all 3 albums. And I remember talking to Sten Roger in the process when we were kind of feeling that, it's so much work, because we set our sights extremely high when it came to be able to not give a song away or not finishing a song before it was actually 100% of our capacity. And that's the best feeling right now, is when I listen to part 2, Sanguis. I know that we don't we couldn't possibly have made anything, not a single tone, better than what's on the album, and that's a great satisfaction, to be honest. And me and Stein are talking about this. We're extremely happy that we managed, because that's heavy. The last 5% from 95 to 100% sometimes take much more time than the first 95%, and the most heavy percentages to kind of to finish. So yeah, it's an album that we're extremely proud of because of that and because of many other things. And I just want to thank everybody who's sending us encouraging words. It means the world for us.
Catch up with you soon, Kjetil. Tack så mycket.
Tack, tusen tack. All right, take care.
My skin, sweet to the point of bitter. Beautiful lights, memorable fights, hustle within, sweet to the point of bitter. I feel like myself, but I'm losing sight. My blood runs cold, I'm running into the night. My wounds will heal, I'm under your shield, paralyzed, but I will find a way. When I'm driven, when I'm weak, and it hits me like the tunnel bridge. All these pleasures, all these kids, deaf and blind, and one step behind. Pulling some more, straight to the floor, ignite. You see the reason my soul is and peace. The offspring created by cynicism, into the unknown and out of the flames. I need you to let me be me. That I take, experience what's in it for me, sweet to the point of bitter. I don't have the need to succeed in anything, and it's sweet to the point of bitter. When I'm driven, when I'm weak, and it hits me like the tunnel bridge. All these pleasures, all these kids, deaf and blind, and one step behind.